Hey everyone, welcome back to Branded. Today I want to talk about something that sneaks up on a lot of business owners, even the ones that absolutely love what they do. It's this moment when your work starts to feel really heavy, not because something is wrong, but because somewhere along the way, you started following all of the I should be doing this, I should be doing that, right? All the shoulds and less of what feels really right to you. Or maybe you've been in client delivery mode for far too long and you forgot what your own creative voice sounds like. Or maybe you're just realizing that what worked before simply just doesn't fit anymore, which is both exciting and very uncomfortable. This reality, right? This awareness. So, this episode today, it's about getting back to the work that feels like you, practically and intuitively, honestly. So, your brand, your business, and your energy can all just get back in sync, right? Find that flow. This thing, this losing of connection, right, with your brand and your business, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens little by little with every moment where you're like, well, I'll just do it this way because it works for them. Or with those choices you're making where you're like, that's not super pressing, so I'll just figure it out later. Those little moments will compound on each other and they will become that disconnection that you feel with your business. And the problem with this is that we stop asking a simple question. Does this still feel like me? Does the thing that I'm doing right now today still feel like me? Is it something I still want to be doing? Quite honestly, as adults, we do things for far too long that we don't want to be doing anymore out of a sense of obligation, either to ourselves or to somebody else. And enough already, right? Do the work that feels like you. You became a business owner not to be an employee in your own business, right? So why are you still operating as if someone is telling you what to do? All of the shoulds that you're burying yourself under, it doesn't need to be like that. I remember a couple years ago, I started gaining my client base and, I was doing a lot of work, right? And to me, I'm like, oh my God, this is like my dream work because it's something new. It's something that I'm getting to try my hand at. But the more and more that I started getting clients wanting me to do that type of work, I started feeling like, maybe something's a little bit off. Like, I'm not really sure. The thing was, my systems were fine. The systems that I had in place at the time, right? They were fine. The clients I had, they were happy, right? There was nothing really wrong. There was nothing obviously, blatantly wrong with my business. But what was happening is I would go to open my laptop and I would feel this kind of heaviness, almost like I was running a business that really used to fit, but didn't really anymore. And when I looked at it closer, I started to realize that, I was building a version of my brand that was still chasing approval. And that really hit me because, honestly, I was so like a fish out of water when I first started my business. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was literally just like walking around in the dark, bumping into shit, figuring it out as I go, which is totally fine. But at some point, instead of turning on the lights and finding my own way, I just kept myself in the dark and I was just sort of following this rope, right? As if there was this tether to, the business coaches that I was hiring, to the people on social that I just was scrolling and stalking, right? And comparing myself to. I had this tether, this thread to them that was me chasing approval rather than building a business that was mine, that reflected who I am and how I can show up day to day. So When you looked at it from the outside, it looked great. But from the inside, it just didn't feel like me. And essentially, I had drifted into this place that we're going to call it brand autopilot, because that's sort of what happens along the way is you're still doing all the right things, you're still doing all the right things, but without like that spark that really made it yours in the first place. So with today's episode, I'm going to start with the practical, and we're also going to talk about the intuitive side because 'tis the balance of life. So let's start with the practical. If your work is feeling a little off, there's usually clutter in one of three areas: your calendar, your systems, or your offers. And this is pretty easy to spot. The problem is, the reason why so many business owners don't spot this is because they're not honest with themselves. So if you're feeling a little cluttered in your calendar, in your systems, or in your offers, the best way to discover it is to have a little bit of honest reflection and ask some questions like, okay, where am I saying yes to projects out of habit versus they're feeling super aligned? So it's like a definite yes. So this is that sense of obligation that we tend to carry around. Are you saying yes out of a sense of habit or obligation? Because that can start to feel really heavy if you keep doing that. And all those yeses are just bringing you further and further and further away from the alignment that you're seeking. Something else that I would ask is, where does my workflow feel clunky and outdated? This is something that will happen regularly, right? You create workflows, and yeah, to a degree they are set it and forget it. But I would say about annually, once a year, you want to come back and you want to look at these things, because maybe the resource that you were offering as a lead magnet or something, it's just not relevant anymore. Or maybe you're missing some steps in the workflow and people aren't getting the communication and the deliverables that you're promising. And maybe you just didn't even realize that, right? Where in those workflows is it feeling a little clunky, a little heavy, and can you tighten it up a little bit and refine it? Huge, huge help, right? And it gets your eyes back on your business, like the framework of your business. Something else that I would ask is, which offer makes me sigh every time you have to deliver it? This is huge because there are so many people in the online space now, and the offers are just everywhere. They're flying off the handle. They're everywhere, right? You've got coaches that are doing programs every 6 months, annual stuff, people that are changing out their offers constantly, right? Like the offers are everywhere. You don't have to keep up with that. You don't have to have a new offer every 3 months. You can have a solid offer that feels really aligned, that you love to deliver, and that's the only thing you do. That's okay. Now, if you want a wider variety of services, by all means, go for it. But if you have an offer in your offer suite where every time it gets purchased, you're like, again, I've got to spend my time doing this. Why is it in your offer suite? Get it out of there. Eliminate it, change it, refine it, whatever you need to do. But if you don't want to deliver it, I guarantee you're not delivering it to 100%, and what they're paying for is not what you're promising. So asking yourself these kinds of questions, being really brutally honest with yourself, this is information gold. Because if it's draining you, if it's confusing you, if it's making you procrastinate, this is trying to tell you something. It's not just like, oh my God, life's so stressful. No, this is like feedback. This is data. So don't just assume that it's time to throw in the towel and just quit because you're like, enough already. I hate delivering this offer. Sometimes this is just your brand saying, hey, I'm over here. Come check in with me for a minute. So that's the practical side, right? Getting back to the work that feels like you, it's very tangible. but also it's intuitive. There's a level of your energetic presence that comes into play here. Even the most beautifully organized system, it's not going to save a brand that is out of energetic alignment. It just won't. So if you want to catch what's happening in your business, give yourself some prompts. What projects or clients feel like a full body yes? Is there a particular client on your roster where every time you go to do their projects or work with them, you're like, oh my God, I love this person? More of that, right? Look for more of that. Same goes for the offers and the projects that you're doing. If you have a full body yes, if afterwards you're like, oh my God, that was so incredible, I feel amazing, this deliverable was amazing, do more of that. That's energetic alignment. What makes you feel like really tight or resentful or like drained? Do less of that. And the problem is we tend to do more of the things that make us feel resentful and less of the things that are a full body yes. Why? Out of habit or obligation, usually. So you see how these things are like, they come together and we sort of become our worst sabotage, tool, because we're sort of like, we're working against ourselves, It's like walking upstream, walking through mud. It's hard. It doesn't need to be. If you become present enough to notice what's happening, you don't have to sit in the mess for too long. What parts of your brand are feeling like outdated? Like perhaps you've outgrown the messaging that's on your website, on your bios, the posts that you're making. I mean, daily, if you're making posts and you're still sort of speaking from the version of you that was like 2 years ago, why? Simply because it's easier, right? Out of habit. This is what you've been doing. So like, let's just keep doing it. It's okay to adjust it. It's okay to pivot and like rediscover that energetic alignment, because what was aligned to you 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago is not who you are today, especially if you've been actively trying to grow your business. You will 100% not be the same person as you were 6 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. So this energetic alignment, it's not about judging yourself. Never is it about judging yourself. It's about honestly reconnecting with yourself, because as you're changing and growing, you got to let your brand grow with you. The more you trust that this evolution is happening, like it's happening whether you like it or not, basically, although you can keep yourself stuck. We tend to do that, right? But the more you trust that evolution, the more you're going to attract the clients, the projects, the opportunities that actually fit who you are, what you want to be spending your time on, and who you want to work with. So if you're in a season where your business is just feeling a little off, try this. Go back to the moment when you first fell in love with what you do. Remember the early excitement that you had when you didn't give a shit about the algorithm or what your niche was. You just wanted to create and connect with the right kind of people. Such a good feeling, right? To remember those early days when you were just so full of excitement and you're like, oh my God, I just want to create so many things. I want to post this content. I want to connect with people. I want to engage. I want to have conversations. And then somewhere along the way, you're like, oh my God, the algorithm. Oh my God, my niche. Like, ugh, who cares? Focus on the work that feels like you. Because that feeling, that early excitement, that love that you had, that spark, it's still there. It didn't go anywhere. It might just be a little stifled. You have to reconnect with it. And this is an intentional practice, reconnecting with that excitement. It's so easy to get buried under the habits, the obligations, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like, it's so easy to get lost and buried under all of that. So you have to intentionally make this a practice for yourself to reconnect with your business. what part of the work that you are, what part do you miss, right? What did you used to do in those early days that you really miss? Why'd you stop doing it? Perhaps you can bring it back into the fold. Maybe it's a practice that you can now bring back into your business, but maybe at a different scale because now you have more clients. Like looking at the business in this way, it keeps it curious, it keeps it playful, it keeps it like open and expanded. So there is room for growth. Don't box yourself in. Is there something that you would do and not get paid for it? Right? Something you love doing so much, you wouldn't even care if you got paid for it. Obviously, the goal is to get paid, right? This is a business. But what are things in your business that you absolutely love doing that you're like, I don't even give a shit if I got paid for this? Weave those things back into your business. Make them part of your offers because you love to do them and you know how powerful and impactful they are for other people. Like, what's a small project that could just reignite your excitement? Think about what that early version of you was doing. What's an elevated, updated version of some of those projects, right? That fit the you that is right now. So go do it, right? Take action. Pick something in your business. Do not do it perfectly, right? Job 1, don't do it perfectly. Job 2, just do it. Don't make it strategic, just do it. Because that's how you're going to reignite that spark, Clarity, it's not going to come from you just thinking your way through something. I mean, you can sit and meditate on something. You can go for a walk and have something in your mind and try to work through it. Absolutely. That's part of the process. But if that's all you're doing and you're never taking action, I mean, come on. Like, change is not made from thinking your way through it. It's made from creating, experimenting, trusting that your next level cannot be overplanned. So, getting back to the work that feels like you, it's not about starting anything over. It's about realigning, noticing what has drifted off, what's ready to evolve, and what feels just so sacred to me, like it's part of me. When you give yourself space to do this sort of recalibration, your creativity is immediately going to come back online because you've like given your brain permission to not feel stifled anymore. You've sort of opened the door and been like, okay, go play. And your creativity is like, whew, oh my gosh, it's recess. Thank goodness. Your creativity comes back online, your systems start to make a whole lot more sense, and your work starts to feel really good again. Not because it's easier, but because it's yours. It's more aligned to who you are, how you show up, the people you like to work with. So this is just a reminder. Pause, do a little check-in with yourself, not to fix anything, but just to reconnect. Because the longer you ignore the quiet voice in your head that's like saying, hey, something feels a little off, I guarantee it's just going to get louder. And eventually it's just going to like slap you across the face one day, and then it'll run you over. And then before you know it, you're like, what the fuck happened? Where did my business go? Don't let it get to that point. When you finally listen and you start to realize for yourself that your business was never trying to tear you apart. Like, you didn't start this business and then all of a sudden it grew its own legs and it's like, oh my God, I'm going to ruin her life. I'm going to make this as hard as I can for her. No, your business is not trying to tear you apart. It's trying to simply say, hey, come back to me a little bit. Let's reconnect. Because quite honestly, you and your business, you are not two separate entities. You are, but you affect each other. There's a direct reflection that happens between you and your business. If today's episode hit home for you, take 10 minutes out of your day this week and, reflect on a part of your business that feels so good to you. And what part of your business might need a little bit of love? What part of your business is maybe seeking approval versus alignment? And, if you loved this episode, share it with a friend that is maybe ready to reconnect with their work or struggling a little bit with that, and help them fall back in love with their business. Because we didn't start these businesses to not love them, to not love the day to day, to not love the clients that we work with. Let's get back to it, right? Get back to the work that feels like you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you next week for a brand new one. Bye, guys.